Roll call directors, please.
Mr. Butler? Present. Mr. Durkin? Present. Mr. Farris?
Present.
Mr. Hallinan?
Present.
Mr. Holtham?
Present.
Mr. Kofel? Mr. McHale is present. Mr. Summa? Mr. Muracco?
Present.
Mr. McHale, Mr. Kofel called me today and asked me to tell everybody that he is in the hospital recovering from a knee surgery, so he wanted me to let people know that's why he's not here.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to announce executive session immediately following the work session on Monday, November 17th for personnel and legal matters. Let's open up the public discussion now.
So close. Holly Mead, 1709 Quincy Avenue. I just wanted to say that we could not be more excited about this newspaper on November 7th. I didn't even open it until Saturday. That's how busy we were on Friday. And Saturday morning, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was just so exciting. I'm sure you all know this, we were the second highest score in the paper for our middle school. That's amazing. Like that's just out of the world. I was so excited. We were 89.2, Abington was 89.1. So that's pretty impressive. And the only school that was ahead of us was Wayne Highland, and they were 91.2. So that I just thought was so great. The kids were talking about it, their teachers were talking about it. I mean, it was such a positive thing. Parents have been talking about it. It was so great for them, and it just really excited for them. And the high school, last year they were at 64.3, and they went to 79.9. That's 15 points. Like, that's a lot, you know? So hats off to whatever you did to make this happen, Mr. Galella, Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Quinn from teaching them when they were in elementary school up until now. Like, it all builds on each other, and I really do believe that if they have a solid base going in, it just helps all along. I have almost the same scores that you gave us, Mr. McDonald. There were some scores that are still ahead of us, and I really went into the PA school profiles to see the difference in the scores. And I looked at our profile, and the only thing that I saw where it looked like we were still struggling was in the science, in the 11th grade science scores. And I know we have super awesome science teachers. So I don't know what was the disconnect there. Can you answer that?
They're working on it. They're
Okay.
aligning their curriculum as best they can. Even though it looked bad, I don't know if you checked a lot about the school district's science scores. That science is generally the lowest one in 11th grade. That's generally the lowest. But we certainly want to improve on it. Both our biology teachers know that. They're working as hard as they can. The curriculum is aligned, so they're doing the best they can.
Okay. And did they get new textbooks recently, or?
3 years ago, I thought. 3 years ago.
Okay, so that's right. I just was curious. And so I just think that I was coming here so many times in the past, and it's so wonderful to see this positive news, and we shall be so happy and proud. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was the schedule. We brought up the longest lunch. We have the longest lunch in Northeast Pennsylvania. Everyone knows that. The schedule that you're currently running started in 1983, so it's 31 years old. That's when I was 13 years old. So I think some things probably have changed in 31 years. I have come here numerous times about why we keep bringing it up. The big reason we keep bringing it up is because every time someone comes with some new idea or some new concept, they're told no due to the schedule. We had that huge conflict last year with the AP chemistry and some of the band people, and they had to go early and da-da-da-da-da. If you fixed parts of the schedule, they might actually be able to have maybe a 45-minute band class and a 45-minute chorus class in there. So they're not gonna have to eat their lunch and then run up to band or chorus. Like, those little things that seem small, I think can be fixed. The other thing is, another parent came to us and said that her daughter never had AP biology and is now in college and struggling in that class. Everyone else, and she's in science curriculum in college, everyone else she had the other AP courses we offered, but she did not have AP biology. So again, if we change the schedule, that would allow for that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure,
Don't we have advanced biology? We have a second-year biology.
We have advanced biology.
but not AP.
It's
We
not.
have 2 years of
AP.
biology. Oh,
They are close, but it's not AP, that's correct.
Correct, so she's struggling in that class. And the other thing that I've brought up 3 times, I think, is about the remediation for the Keystones. For the kids that are not passing the Keystones and they need remediation, if you open the schedule and change the schedule, you're gonna be able to plug in those classes for remediation. So I don't see any disadvantages to changing the schedule, I only see advantages. So I just wanna know, did anybody on the school board meet with the scheduler that we hired?
No, Mr. McDonald called me to town on Monday. He didn't call me, his secretary did, about a meeting on Wednesday with the scheduler. But I've been working at Holy Cross High School. I couldn't come. I had them call Joel Muracco. You couldn't come, right?
No,
John was away. John Farris, he's on the committee. And George Kofel said he thought he might be able to make it, but he never did. When he didn't, when nobody made it, I contacted Mr. McDonald, or he contacted me, whatever. And at some point, I met with Mr. McDonald and also Mr. Quinn came. So I had a meeting with them.
We're moving in the right direction. Mr. McDonald will elaborate on that.
We have had meetings with Mr. Roach. We've gone over numerous schedules. He's gotten us schedules. He's tried to align schedules. He looked at classes or scheduled with 30-minute lunches, with 43-minute lunches, with a 33-minute lunch. Each and every one of them creates problems. We're still working with them. I'll just go over a few of them that I have here. The 9-period day with 43 minutes each for each period and a 43-minute lunch would require 2 extra middle school teachers and 6 extra high school teachers. And he worked pretty hard on that, and that is the same result that we had in 2013 when our committee worked on it. We said we would need 5 additional teachers to do a 30-minute lunch and keep everything else the same. That was with the 8-period day. This is with the 9-period day. With an 8-period day and a 30-minute lunch, it can only be done by having, right now, uneven class time schedules. He got it down to some classes would be 54 minutes, some would be 47. So some kids would get 35 minutes extra instruction a week, and the other kids would get 35 minutes less. So you might be happy with what track you're on if your son or daughter was in the 54-minute period, but you might not be happy if they're in a 47-minute period. So we don't find that acceptable. Mr. Quinn and our Mr. Hopkins, and we don't find that to be acceptable. He's since still working on it. As of today, I spoke to him again. He's trying to even them off. But if he did that, it requires changing lots of lunch periods. It required, one lunch would have to go at 1:42 in the afternoon for a high school. So everything you change, and I know since 1983, maybe the time periods were the same, but the curriculum certainly was not. We are continuing to work. As late as 4 o'clock, he sent me an email, because I asked him to please, I don't have it with me, look at these the 8-period day, and if we went to a 9-period day, do we have to change the middle school too? And he says we would have to change the middle school. Now, we just had fantastic middle school results. So everything we go through is going to have an opposite reaction or create some type of problem somewhere else. We share teachers with the elementary school in the morning, and we share them with the high school in the afternoon. So everything we do, if he changes that high school schedule, then it doesn't meet the middle school schedule in the afternoon. So he's thinking we have to change both. And that's what he's kind of looking at that now. But to change both schedules, when we have such great middle school scores, creates, in my mind, a problem to me. So we continue to look at it. I'll just give you the 9-period day with a 30-minute lunch or a 40-minute lunch he can do, but teacher's contract, they would have to teach 6 periods and accept a duty period. With a 9-period day, right now they're 8-period, that's a contractual issue. They would have to agree to do that. That can be done, but they have to agree to do that.
I'm disappointed in the way you're speaking because I've heard nothing but this is a problem, this is complicated, it cannot be done, it's difficult. I don't hear anything positive about it. And I don't, maybe from an outsider looking in, I'm the only person that sees the positives that can come from this. But the negativity that is seen through this, and if you're the only person on this board meeting with the scheduler and he's only seeing your negative side, it would be nice to have other input besides just your input.
Well, Holly, I don't have a negative side. I told the board and the scheduler that I'm for a 9-period day. So I don't have a 9-period.
Okay.
All the feedback I get is, if you do that, this is gonna happen. If you do that, this is gonna happen.
Change isn't
So
easy though.
please,
Change
I
always
want a
creates problems.
9-period day.
We had
And that's right, change does create problems.
We had
Correct.
questions from Ricky at the work session Monday, and that's what he was talking with the scheduler about. We're all excited about hopefully going to a 9-period day. And we don't want to steamroll our teachers. We want to bring them in and include them in this. That's all part of this discussion that we've had Monday.
Mr. Farris,
And
any
we're working
teachers
very,
help
very,
do
we're
the
working very
schedule?
hard going in that direction, and we have been. You know, it's not that, things happen in people's lives, that's why they weren't able to meet the schedule. Everyone here is a volunteer and working very hard, and we're doing our very best, and we'll continue to do our very best going forward. Everyone sitting here wants to see that happen, and it's going to happen, but we're gonna make sure it's done correctly and not disrupt something else in the meantime.
I
think I
appreciate,
explained myself the way I
Let me just say, I am 100% for a 9-period day, 100%. I expressed that to the board members. I would like to see that happen. But my job as superintendent is to look at the whole big picture here. And if I can say, well, if you do that, then this program's gonna hurt. If you do that, this is gonna hurt. This is, that schedule we have now, that was tweaked for many, many years, and it works really good. We're going to, if we go to a 9-period day, this board would have to make a decision on hiring 6 to 8 teachers. That's $400,000 in financial difficult times that all the school districts are going through right now. But I'm not negative on it. I want a 9-period day, I do. And it's just.
I had the wrong impression, I'm sorry.
It's frustrating for me to not be able to do this. Mr. Quinn and I met with Mr. Holtham we wanted a 9-period day. That was what we relayed to Mr. Holtham. We want that, but it just doesn't come because of our facilities, because we have the one lunchroom and only one gymnasium. Every time we look at it, something else pops up, well then this program's gonna be hurt, and this is gonna happen. So it's not for lack of effort, it's not that we don't want to. We are not giving up on this by any stretch of the imagination. I had Mr. Quinn and Mr. Hopkins in my office today, and we're gonna meet tomorrow morning and start to look at what a 9-period day would look like, what electives we would have, and we're gonna start on that, Mr. Quinn, tomorrow or Friday morning, depending on where our schedules are. But it's not something that we're trying to not do. I want one. I'm the superintendent of schools, my kids went through here, but I also have grandchildren here. I want a 9-period day, so I just want you to know that. I am not trying to do that.
misread your comments, I apologize
Yeah.
to that.
It's just, it's hard.
Do you ever have
It's hard.
teachers, like maybe 2 of your lead teachers come in and help?
We have our guidance people who are part of the bargaining unit. They're there. We've had teachers, when we first tried to do this 2 years ago, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Hopkins, and I believe we had another teacher, they worked for hours and hours and hours trying to cut that lunch period down. If you remember, I said we're 90% there, and the newspaper wrote it up. Well, it couldn't be because we needed 2 or 3 more teachers, because you just can't match up those schedules. And I know it seems simple to put times on a paper, but it's, when you start plugging people in, say, oh, this guy's teaching biology, but boy, he'll be 15 minutes late for his next biology class because they're a different class. So, I mean, those are the problems that we run into.
Every school district has problems, and to me, this is a problem that can be fixed. So my question also is, what is your deadline?
A deadline, we're gonna work on this until we either say we can do it and get it right, or until we say, you know what, it's not worth it. So that's the way I feel about it. I am gonna set up a meeting with our education committee, with this scheduler, who I spoke to him today, and he felt he needed to come in and talk to them, because every single time we go through it, something else pops up. It just does, and I'm sorry to tell you that, but it does. And again, I want a 9-period day. I would love to see that. It would make Mr. Quinn's life a lot easier too. But you either pay for it with extra teachers, or you keep working on it to see what we can do here.
My only concern is, as you said, this is a contract year for the union, and I feel like if you don't even have a tentative sample before February or March, it can't happen, because you're gonna be negotiating that contract, and this is a big piece for those teachers.
Very
And
big piece.
so I mean, as a teacher, I would wanna know what my contract includes, and I'm sure the wonderful teachers we have wanna know that too. So I feel like it's so important to get it done in a timely fashion, only because there will be that stumbling block with the union at some point, but we're not even there yet, you know? My other question is, how much has it cost the district so far?
I think the only invoice we got now was about $1,700 or $1,800, but there will be additional. I think at the end, he said around $4,000 to $4,500.
Okay, so as a taxpayer, I really pray that that money is put to good use, because to me, to spend $4,000 because somebody can't do it is just.
It's not because somebody can't do it. It can be done with 6 additional teachers or 8 additional teachers. It's not that. It can be done. You've got to pay for it. And that's what all these gentlemen and myself have to look at.
Right.
It can be done. 6 teachers or 8 teachers, it can be done tomorrow, but it's also $400,000. So these are the issues that fall on my shoulders and the board members' shoulders. They have to make those decisions. Those are tough decisions. So it can be done. Not that it can't, it can be done, but it costs money.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public discussion?
Start on 2 high points. If the Dunmore boys soccer, John Meade, 1709 Quincy Avenue. The Dunmore boys soccer team had a great season under the direction of Mr. Phillips, advancing to the 2nd round of the playoffs. Ran into Mountain View on a god-awful day on top of a mountain at Mountain View, but they still played well. Then last night, Mr. McGurl's new Crimson Company season kicked off with a parent viewing of Arabian Nights with a great debut. Runs tonight, Thursday, and Saturday night, if I'm not mistaken. And great showing by the parents last night. I hope they get great support, and I know they'd love to see the board there and the administration. Mr. Hopkins doesn't count because his son's in it, so.
We'll be here.
We'll be here. So, okay. And Mrs. Rebecca. So of course, my questions are going back to the schedule, but I think they're slightly different than what Holiday's asking. So, Mr. McDonald, you said with a 9-period lunch, or 9-period schedule, you think you'd have to hire 6 to 8 new teachers?
That's what Mr. Rhodes said.
Did he have knowledge of the teachers having in their contract the ability to teach another class?
He has every one of our contracts. We reviewed them with them, we sat with them. We told them they're allowed to teach 6, but they can't have a duty. That's what the contract says.
Now, what if they
We
have...
need the duty period. We need 6 and a duty. We need them to teach 6 and a duty.
Now, wouldn't teaching the 6th with a duty give them an extra prep as well, though? Wouldn't that be an advantage to the teachers?
No, they teach 6. If with a 9 period, they did teach 6, duty 7, prep is 8, lunch is 9.
So now they have a duty and a prep.
Everybody does, right?
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And then what about, I just missed it, with an 8-period schedule, do you have to add new teachers?
He can't tweak the time schedules to match because of the sharing of the teachers mainly in the afternoon. So he didn't think we would have to add somebody, but he can't tweak the 8 period to cut that, reduce that lunch and match up the schedules. Just remember, your gym teacher from the high school has to go over teach the middle school, and your health teacher from the high school has to go teach your middle school, and they just don't match up.
Now, what
We're-
about, go ahead, please.
We're hoping that we can get a 6-period day with a duty, and the teachers can go along with that, and then we'll be able to add electives and basically make everybody happy. That's what we're hoping to get to. We really didn't want to let the cat out of the bag and surprise attack the teachers. It's not the right way to do it. We want to sit down with the teachers, give Mr. McDonald and the
Absolutely.
principals an opportunity to discuss that with them, and not us steamrolling over it. That's how we discussed it Monday night. Everything we're discussing here was discussed in length Monday and months before that as they arose. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
And
Mr. President?
No, please, go ahead.
But they would have to read it.
Right,
Mr.
that's-
President?
That's our biggest thing, that the teachers buying in, and I'm sure with our staff, we're going in the right direction. I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, I just want to add to that. We're very involved in this. Mr. Holtham, this committee, they report to the board, things go back and forth. But if he tweaks this, as Mr. McDonald's explaining, and we hope we do, we must meet before you even know about this with the faculty. With a PowerPoint presentation, going through everything so they can question, they can see, they can add their, whatever they have to add, the administrators can be there adding what they have to add, until maybe that product is so finished that that same PowerPoint presentation will be given to the community at a school board meeting or a special time. But for us to go ahead of the horse here is not prudent.
And Mr., from the beginning.
That's all I wanted.
No, please, thank you. From the beginning, we've been asking for everyone's interaction, meaning guidance. We're going back months now, asking can guidance be involved in those meetings? And certainly getting the committee at the very least, but the board, because you're going to vote. So absolutely, understood. All on the same side. So another question is, if they're expanded, what classes are going to be offered, Mr. McDonald? Have you looked at that? What classes can be offered with an extra class in the day?
We have to have a remediation plan. That would be the literature, the math, and the biology. We would have to build some electives in there, and there are numerous that could be built in there. You have to build electives, and you have to buy books and supplies for those electives. And teachers have to be certified to teach those electives. So that's what we're looking at, and that's what, as Mr. Quinn can tell you, that was our meeting today. That's our first step now, after we're at this. The board basically told me on Monday night, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, that they're really not willing to add 8 teachers. So our job is to, hopefully that the union would accept that, and then we start to build a schedule with the electives. It's a very, very difficult process. Not nearly as easy as anybody thinks.
Well, understood there. And then it's amazing how fast time goes. A year ago, you had, if I'm not mistaken, an agreement with the union to do a new schedule when we were at 90%. So did we have that in place, and then why wouldn't the new contract have that?
We have an MOU in place that they would consider a new schedule. That's what it says.
But they did agree to it last year, correct?
No, they considered agreeing, opening the contract to look at a new schedule.
Very good.
They agreed to that.
Very good. Yep, that makes sense. Understood. And then, so again, we talked about that, and really, our goal has never been to add any cost to this, just to make it better. And so, I mean, that's not what we're asking for, just to make it better. So, so when would you meet with union representation, Mr. McDonald?
I met with them this morning.
Oh, you did? Can you tell us about that meeting?
I don't think so. It's, I don't think so.
Okay.
So then, so we're out for actually some of these questions answered. So, and I guess, and it really is, we keep moving further down the road. So I guess what is our drop dead date for a new schedule if it works out on everybody's end? Like, when do you have to make a decision that you're moving forward? What month? So
I would say by February or March, so that scheduling can be done and electives can be built. I would say by then.
And we couldn't be happier about the middle school results and the high school's doing better. The kids are in a great environment. My son's in 7th heaven as a freshman. He's in the Crimson Company in the play. So again, guys, we're all here working towards the same goal. Just to make it better, I just really hope that you can work that hard, get everybody involved sooner than later. The committee or the board to meet with the scheduler so he can hear everything we're talking about on a daily or a monthly basis. So that's all I'd ask. So, thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else for public discussion?
Evening, School Board. Francis Franny, 227 Chestnut Street. Just a question, and I'll admit my ignorance on this. It's come up in various other municipal authorities, let's say, about pensions and being underfunded, cash-strapped, whatever it might be. And I didn't know how the school board or the district handles pensions, and I thought I'd just ask that.
We have to pay into a pension, the state pension fund. The rate this year, we have to pay in is 21%.
It's going to 26%.
It's going to 26%, and each year it goes up, and only goes because of the CTC. And by 2024, if we're on this path, it's in somewhere in the 30% range, or over 30, I think.
And is that like treading water, or is that keeping
That's,
ahead of?
well, that's under, as you see in the statement, Tom Wolf talks about what they want to do.
Right.
Pension, they're having a lot of pension problems. The solution to it, going forward, was just raise it every year. Well, we've gone from 12% 2 years ago to 60% to 21%, 24%. The solution right now is to keep raising it on the districts. It's killing us.
And that's coming from the taxes,
That comes, that's, you're
State
required,
mandate, you can't do anything about it.
yes, we have no say in that, that's.
We started saving money 7, 8 years
Right.
ago, or 9 years ago for it.
And raising the
Look,
taxes to the index does not even cover the increase in the pension. So you're behind even if you raise taxes to the index.
So there's nothing really new here, everybody's feeling.
That's, and I went to a meeting with the state legislatures a while back, Antoinette and I were both there, and there's no new solution. They said, we gotta work on it. Well, go to Harrisburg and work on it, because they heard from business managers all along there that said, we're out of money, our fund balances are dwindling, what are you gonna do? Well, the other side won't do this. I think we've gotta decide, we don't care what side you're on, but this is a crisis. And it kills you in education, because if you have to put, every year you're gonna have 3% more in there. I mean, 30% is right on the horizon there, and that's, they've gotta work on this, they've gotta do it legitimately, not just talk about it, because it's killing every school district in the state.
And we as a district put our money in this fund, presumably it makes money.
Well,
you know.
they invested.
But that, it was done years ago, really,
Fran,
the early 2000s.
The bottom line is, the people that we sent to Harrisburg, right, over the years, they're the ones that have to change it. Any school board can't change it. Like Antoinette said, like Jimmy said, we can only raise the taxes to the index. That's not even enough to put a dent in anything. They have to change it. How they're gonna change it, I don't know. There's some proposals out there. But you know the way it's all gridlock in Harrisburg, like Washington, and everything else. And it's unfortunate that people pay good money in taxes, every school district. But if they don't change it,
If you Google that and just ask, look for the rates, and it's out there. Like, I think in 2000, 2001, it was like 5%, 2%, and now we're at 21%. I mean, it was very steady for a while, and then they made some pension changes, and they included, it's not just the school teachers. I think we were thrown in with the legislators at the time when they made the midnight change.
and Fred, while we're on the subject about funding, if the legislators in Harrisburg did what they're supposed to do, bring it back to 50% funding instead of 33 1/3%, every school district in Pennsylvania will be a heck of a lot better off. And if you, I don't know how much you got, anybody in this room is in knows it, but at one time, the way the funding formula is, and I know this because I worked for the Auditor General's office 35 years. The Western state, everybody gets a pool of money, but the migration came towards the east the last 10 years. So there's more people in these schools. But the Western schools still kept getting their allotment, but sometimes they have more money than they need. In the Eastern schools, because of that funding, the 33 1/3%, we're getting whacked. That's why these budgets, that's why we talk about scheduling. We love to have this, the lunch period and everything. But you gotta watch, because if you have to hire teachers, where are we gonna get the money? I mean, that's the thing, is we love to do it. We love to take care of, this is a great school district. We got the best kids, we got the best teachers. But guess what, where are you gonna get the money if you have to come up with $400,000? When you could only raise it 2 mils, and that's, what is a mill, Anthony, about 76,000?
150,000 for two.
All right, so you get 150,000, and you need 400,000. Where are you going? I mean, that's why these legislators gotta do what they're supposed to do in Harrisburg, and everything should trickle down to these school districts.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a concern, it was more curiosity, because it's hitting everybody, so I figured.
But everybody doesn't know this. See, everybody likes to say, well, hey, got your school board to do it. Fred, you can't do it. I mean, how you know? You're a school teacher, you know. I mean, and Scranton's having a lot of problems. I mean, they don't know what they're gonna do. But I'm just saying, we love to do it for our kids. Our kids are, you know that.
Sure.
Your kids go here, I mean, they graduated from here, everybody.
Sure.
So I mean, the thing about it is, we want to do the best we could for our students first, they're number one. Then, taxpayers and everybody else, so, that's the way we feel. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for the information.
Thank you, Fran. Anyone else for public discussion? Hearing none. Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on October 15th. So moved. Motion by Mr. Butler, second by Mr. Hallinan. All in favor?
Aye.
No? Hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chair,
Mr.
that
Hallinan.
permission be granted the following for use of district facilities and equipment. The use of district facilities is subject to the conditions established by the Dunmore School District and may not conflict with any regular scheduled activities.
Motion by Mr. Hallinan, second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to approve the Lady Bucks basketball team tournament in New Jersey, January 25th, 2015.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Muracco,
Second.
second by Mr. Durkin. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to accept the personnel report.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hallinan, second by Mr. Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chairman?
Mr. Muracco.
Motion to accept Amy Wenzel as a resignation as the assistant boys tennis coach.
Motion by Mr. Muracco, second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Holtham.
motion to accept Amy Wenzel's resignation as junior, senior high school ski club's advisor.
Motion by Mr. Holtham, second by Mr. Durkin. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to appoint Jenny Onneck as assistant boys tennis coach in accordance with the agreement with the Dunmore Federation of Teachers.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Muracco, second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to appoint Jenny Onneck as the junior, senior ski club's advisor in accordance with the agreement with the Dunmore Federation of Teachers. Motion by Mr. McHale, second by Mr. Muracco. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to accept the resignation of Lori Packard, secretary with the Dunmore Elementary Center,
So moved.
effective December 3rd. Is that correct?
Fifth.
5th. That's what I said. Motion by Mr. Hallinan, second by Mr. Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chairman,
Motion.
go ahead.
Motion to approve special education settlement ORD number 15248-14-15 as per attached agreement and terms and conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hallinan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to approve the Dunmore School District Comprehensive Plan from 7/1/2015 to 6/30/2018. Motion by Mr. McHale, second by Mr. Muracco. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr.
Nay, hearing.
Mr. McDonald, could you explain the comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan replaces the old strategic plan. It's a 3-year plan which includes a professional development plan, a special education plan, an assessment plan. It just replaces the old strategic plan.
Thank you. Motion, Mr. Muracco.
Motion to approve the following payrolls. October 10th, 2014, $344,240.73. October 24th, 2014, $329,521.56. And November 7th, 2014, $331,184.68. It'll be a grand total of $1,004,946.97.
Motion by Mr. Muracco.
Second.
Second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chairman,
Mr.
to
McHale.
accept the treasurer's report for the month of October 2014.
Motion by Mr. McHale, seconded by Mr. Hallinan. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to accept the real estate tax collector's report for the month of October 2014.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Muracco, second by Mr. Durkin. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to approve payment for listed bills of $544,356.44.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hallinan, second by Mr. Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to accept activities reports for the month of November 2014. Motion by Mr. McHale. Second by Mr. Butler. All in favor? Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
To approve the wage tax collector's report for the month of September 2014.
Excuse me, that should be
Motion by,
October.
Mr.
October.
Butler.
We did October.
Wait, this is,
We did October, a couple of motions.
no, they should all be October.
Oh, this should be October instead of September?
Yes, because,
Yeah.
Let's reread it for October.
yes, please.
Motion to approve the wage tax collector's report for the month of October 2014.
Motion by Mr. Butler,
Second.
second by Mr. Hallinan. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Holtham.
a motion to approve the renewal of the district's property casualty fleet proposal, including boiler and machinery insurance with the PSBA/ACE Property Casualty Program. The cost for 2013, 2014,
14-15,
okay,
sorry.
for 2014-15 is $55,960. Northeast Insurance and Financial Consultants is the agent. This is an increase of $3,062 or 5.47%.
Motion by Mr. Holtham,
Second.
second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chairman,
Mr. McHale.
to approve the NEIU number 19 Act 48 agreement for the 2014-2015 school year at a rate of $10 per professional employee.
Motion by Mr. McHale,
Second.
second by Mr. Hallinan. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chairman.
Mr. Muracco.
Motion to approve a one-year contract with True Green for lawn care services for 2015. The cost is $5,978.85, and there will be no increase from the prior year.
Motion by Mr. Muracco, second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion, please.
Chairman,
Mr. McHale.
to extend the contract with Constellation New Energy from 7/24/15 through 7/20/17 for unbundled fixed energy.
Motion by Mr. McHale, second by Mr. Muracco. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to establish December 4th at 6 o'clock in the high school cafeteria as the reorganization meeting of the Dunmore Board of School Directors.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Butler, second by Mr. Hallinan. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. New business?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to compliment you on your past year as president. It was a trying year. One would, not all of us agreed on a few things, but you kept this board together, kept it well informed, and I'd like to congratulate you. You did a fine job.
Thank you, Michael.
Mr. Chairman.
Joe?
Two things. Number one, I'd like to commend the administration, certainly our students, for that beautiful Veterans Day program that was together last week. Very well organized, and like I said, we had the best kids. They did a great job. And number two is I'd like to congratulate our football team for winning the district championship. But they're not the only ones. I mean, they do the physical stuff. But we got an administration that works with them. We got a band. We got cheerleaders. And we got fans that come and brave the school with the cold weather and yell at us. So I just like to thank everybody and congratulate our boys because I'd like to see them go to get a state championship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muracco. Any other new business? President's report. I'd like to thank all of you for having me as your president. I'd also like to thank all of you for your hours and hours of time that you have given to the Dunmore School District in our community. Somehow, some way, we have worked through hard decisions. And yes, I believe things are and will get even better. Thank you for your support, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
This was one of the easier things I had to read, Mr. President. Recently I had to read a eulogy for my mother, which was very upsetting. And asking for a moment of silence for Corporal Dixon was very difficult. Thank you. Ricky, Superintendent's report?
I'd like to thank Mr. Farris for all the board members for all your efforts this year. Some years we have good years, some bad. We had some good moments and some bad moments this year, but thank you, Mr. Farris, for all your efforts. And I want to congratulate all of our teachers and students and administrators who worked so hard to increase our scores, especially in the high school, but our middle school also. That's all.
Thank you, Ricky. Motion to accept the President's Superintendent report and make them part of the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Butler.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hallinan. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Motion to adjourn to meet in regular session or to call it a chair.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Muracco, second by Mr. McHale. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay, hearing none, motion passes. Here you go.